Yo, 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 what is up? We are back. First off, I'm sorry about the audio. This is my computer audio. This is not a mic audio. It's my computer audio. I'm not at home, clearly. This is not my house. I'm in Chicago. I'm dealing with some family stuff. I saw some of y'all reached out to me. I appreciate that. Thank you guys. I wasn't gonna record for a second because I just kind of like didn't feel like it with everything that was going on. But with the trade deadline being yesterday, I could no longer sit back and watch people's opinions and not have my own opinion. So I'm here today to talk about some of the trades. I'm not going to go through every single trade today just because there was just so many and it's like 7:30 in the morning right now. But I'm going to go through some of the trades, the ones that I felt the most passionately about. So yeah, I'm going to go through some of the trades today. The first one I want to talk about is the Kings, Domantas Sabonis. They got Domantas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, and Justin Holiday, if I'm not mistaken. And the Pacers got, what was it, Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield. I think it was some picks, whatever. I know I was arguing with people about this trade a couple of days ago because people were like, oh, I can't believe the Kings traded Tyrese Halliburton. How could they do such a thing? It's a terrible trade. When did Tyrese Halliburton become Ja Morant? I like Tyrese Halliburton. I think Tyrese Halliburton has a load of potential. Key word here, potential. I think he's already a really good player. I think he averaged 14 and 7 or something like that this season. Buddy Hield's been trying to trade Buddy Hield forever. But, bro, Tyrese Halliburton's potential may never become the player Domantas Sabonis is right now. We're talking about a guy who's been an all-star before, been to the playoffs before. He's averaged 18, 12, and 6. They just don't grow on trees. People averaging 18, 12, and 6 just don't grow on trees. I know people talking about his defense. Oh, he can't defend. Excuse me. I thought Tyrese Halliburton was on the team last year that had the worst defensive rating of all time either. 2. I'm not saying that, the man can't play defense. I'm just saying 18, 12, and 6 don't grow on trees. If you tell me I got a guy who's going to come out there and give me 18, 12, and 6, shoot a pretty good percentage from the field, can hit a 3, not the best three-point shooter, but he can hit a 3. Great passer. Like from the 4 spot, outside of like Giannis. Who else plays the 4? Giannis. Yeah, outside of outside of Giannis, is there a better passer at the 4 spot in the league currently than Domantas Sabonis? I don't know. That's a question that I don't have the answer to. I don't know. And I would actually say probably outside of Giannis, I don't know if there is definitely a better passer from the 4 spot than Domantas Sabonis. We're talking about a guy who basically, when you look at the last 15 years of the Kings franchise, it's been putrid. Literally putrid. Like, we have human beings alive that don't remember the Kings being good. Literally. That's probably what actually was. People are to criticize everything the Kings do because the Kings usually have done things that historically have not worked out. Like, let's think about this. If we actually go back to when they traded Boogie, right? Boogie was probably the best player that they've had this decade, like the past 2 years. Obviously, hands down to Marcus Cousins. They traded him for Buddy Hield. A couple years later, you flip Buddy Hield and you get Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis has a chance to be one of the best Kings in history. I mean, I saw shout out TPJ and Glasses. I'm talking about who's the best King in history. Technically, it's Oscar Robertson. I think it was the Cincinnati Royals, which later became the Sacramento Kings. So technically, it's Oscar Robertson. Then after that, you got like Nathan Archibald, who's up there. Then after that, which you got Mitch Richmond, you got Chris Webber, you got Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby. Case in point being, if he stays there and he stays healthy and continues to play, you may be looking at a guy who may go down as a top 5 King in history. Also, we have to think about this as well. Andreas Sabonis, his father, some of you guys may not remember, incredible basketball player. He came over to the NBA when he was like 30 years old. That was after 2 Achilles surgeries. And apparently, granted, I've never seen it because I've never seen the footage, but for all intents and purposes, before those Achilles surgeries, he was even colder than what he was in the NBA when he could halfway barely move. Saying that to say he played in Portland. Now, I don't know how much time Domantas spent with his father in the NBA. I don't know his age. I don't know if they, cross paths. I'm sure it does. I don't know how much he remembers about the Pacific Northwest. But what I'm trying to say is he is used to the Pacific Northwest. You played in Portland. You're now going to Sacramento. It's not like a guy who's never been used to the area. I'm sure he spent some time into the area. In the area. I'm also sure the Kings took that into consideration when making this trade. Also, you had 96 million guards on the roster. You drafted Davion Mitchell this year. You paid De'Aaron Fox and you made him your franchise guy. You don't need another guard. I like Tyrese, but you don't need more and more and more and more guards. You have to finally start to put together a team that makes sense. Do I think that this move would get them to the playoffs this year? No. But I can see the playoffs more foreseeably in their future with this move and putting Domantas Sabonis on this team than I could without Domantas Sabonis being on the basketball team. Also, a lot of De'Aaron Fox struggles may be attributed to the fact that you have another ball-handling guard right next to him. You had that behind. As opposed to in previous years, he had the ball a little bit more than we had the ball this year, I would say. Like, Tyrese was still giving you 7 assists. If a man's giving you 7 assists, that seems to me like he has the ball a pretty good amount as well. So, I like what the Kings did. I love what the Kings did. They also got rid of Marvin Bagley. Finally, they also brought in Dante DiVincenzo. They brought in Josh Jackson. They brought in Trey Lyles. This roster makes a little bit more sense to me today than what it did 4 days ago. And I just want people to stop acting like Domantas Sabonis is just Enes Kanter 2022. Excuse me, Enes Freedom 2022. We are talking about a damn good basketball player, one of the best, in my personal opinion, probably a top 25 player in the league today. I like what they did. And again, I like Tyrese Halliburton. I think Tyrese Halliburton has potential. The key word in that is potential. Tyrese Halliburton may never grow to be the player Domantas Sabonis is right now. And Sabonis is 25. He got potential. Ain't like you traded a 21-year-old for a 34-year-old. He's 25. You have 5 years before he even hits 30. And with the way he plays the game of basketball, also judging by the way his father played the game of basketball, when he couldn't move and was still an integral piece of those late 90s, early 2000 Blazers, I think he'll be perfectly okay for a long time to come. And like I said, I also like when teams kind of lean into who they are. You know, when you look at the Kings and you think about their history, right? All right, what did the Kings have in those early 2000 runs? Great passing big men. You had Vlade and you had Chris Webber. I think Domantas Sabonis could be a combination of both of those guys. You also have Mike Bibby, a great scoring point guard. You know, he was never a superstar, but he was definitely a star in this league. You have De'Aaron Fox. Like, I think that they're kind of leaning into the Kings' history. And again, this trade makes sense for the Kings. For the Pacers, obviously, you want to rebuild, start over. You got Tyrese Halliburton, you got Buddy Hield, you got Malcolm Brogdon, who I think contract runs out. I think his contract runs out this year. Also, Miles Turner, I think the speculation of trading him is probably gone. You have him there now. Like, and also he's not that old. He's like 25 years old. So I like what the Pacers did. It was time to just break this thing up, but that the Pacers were doing. You know, I thought that the Pacers would be they were my sleeper team this year. Clearly, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But they were, but also I didn't know TJ Warren wasn't going to be able to play the whole year. And basically it's probably the last we've seen of TJ Warren in a Pacers uniform. So again, I like the trade for the Pacers. Again, like, they're just trying to get younger. They want to blow it up. They did that, like I said. I like Tyrese Halliburton. I think he has potential to be a damn good basketball player. He already is a damn good basketball player. But this argument that I was seeing on Twitter when people were making it seem like this was the worst trade anybody could have made, I just didn't understand. I'm like, yo, I love the man. But when did that man become Ja Morant? That's how people was talking about. Like the Kings traded Ja Morant or something like that. But for the Pacers, I like it. For the Kings, I love it. Moving on. The Blazers. A lot of times we've been about the Blazers and you know what the Blazers have done. I love what the Blazers have done. CJ and Dame probably need to be broken up a couple years ago. I think when they went to the conference finals that year was probably their complete ceiling. If I'm not mistaken, somebody got hurt, and that's the reason why they got there. I can't remember the complete details, but I think somebody got hurt. They ended up winning the series, and like that's why they got there. I think they got there twice actually. But yeah, like that's was the ceiling for them. I mean, when you look at the West now with the Suns emerging, the Warriors are still there, the Grizzlies are there. If the Nuggets can get back to health, shit, the Clippers next year is going to be a team to reckon with. They were never getting back again. They were never getting back. This team had ran its course. It was time to blow it all up. And the Blazers don't want – the only thing they want are young assets and expiring contracts to get out these deals. And that's what they got. Like, I think everybody's saying, oh, terrible trade for the Blazers. No, it wasn't. You got CJ's contract off the books. You got expirings. You got Josh Hart, who I like Josh Hart. Josh Hart's a guy that you can use as a piece as you're building towards your future. He's just a winning player. Like, he's a guy, he's not going to impress you with the numbers too much, but he will go out there and get you 13 points, 8 boards, a steal and a block, and 4 assists. You can play on my team any day, especially if you're 6'4", doing all that. So what the Blazers are trying to do, will it work? I have zero idea, but I get the concept. They're trying to fast track a rebuild, right? So you go into the summer, you take $60 million into the summer. And granted, this free agency class doesn't have too many like home run hitters, but you do have really, really good guys that you can probably bring to Portland if you overpay a little bit. Hopefully, also, you suck the rest of the season and you possibly get a number 1 pick or something like that. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully you suck the rest of the season. You get a number 1 pick. This draft seems to have some guys. You get number 1, number 5, some pick like that. I mean, you got to scout, your ass off. And that's why it's called a lottery. Also, we're talking about the Kings, going back a little bit. And people were talking about, the Kings draft terribly. It's not so much that they draft terribly and develop talent terribly. It's called a lottery for a reason. If you pick in a lottery 17 years, you're going to have some missteps. You picking in a lottery too much. It's called a lottery. You really don't know. It is a lottery for a reason. You play the lottery. Someday you may win $100. One day you may win 5,000. One day you may win the Mega Millions. But it's called a lottery for a reason. If you pick there 17 times, I promise you're going to make some mistakes. Same way if you pick anything, however many times, I promise you're going to make some mistakes. So the Blazers, I would urge you need to hit on your pick. I would urge you to do your due diligence when you scouting. I would urge you to do your due diligence when you scouting. But I like the trade from the Blazers aspect. For the Pelicans, I mean, I've said even when I saw them play against the Clippers, when Jonas had that 47 point, I think it was 47 point, something like that, point game against the Clippers when he hit all those threes earlier in the season. If Zion can come back, and I'll say it again, if Zion can come back, probably this season is a watch, so you look towards next year. If Zion can come back and be healthy, I mean, you got some with this team, man. You got CJ, you got Brandon Ingram, you got Herb Jones, you got Zion, and you got Jonas. Like, you really got a formidable team there that can compete in the West. Like, it's so many times in which when I watch the Pelicans this year, I'm like, man, if Zion was in this position, it would be such a better team. Sometimes you just need that bowling ball that can just get to the rim at will. Sometimes you need that, and that's what they're missing right now. But if Zion can come back and play, they got something. I won't say that they'll be a championship team, but when you look at what Memphis is doing, with their guys and the collection of what they're putting together, I think that, again, if Zion can come back and play and be healthy and have a full healthy season, I think that next year the Pelicans can do something like what the Grizzlies are doing this season. So yeah, I like it for them. Great change in scenery for CJ. Takes the pressure off Brandon Ingram. Probably slides Devontae Green to the bench. He hasn't been playing the best this season. But yeah, I like the trade for them as a whole. Moving along, I think the big trade everybody was talking about is James Harden, Ben Simmons. Finally, the deal gets done. Also, along with Ben Simmons going to Philly, and now we know with Ben Simmons going to the Nets, you have one Seth Curry, you have Andre Drummond, and you have, if I'm not mistaken, 2 first-round picks. Well, no. Yeah, 2 first-round picks going to Brooklyn, and James Harden getting sent to Philly. From the Philly aspect, I get it. Number one, they've been trying to trade for James Harden for 2 years. They have been trying to trade Ben Simmons for James Harden for literally like 750 days. Literally. Like, we got to remember when Harden and Nissy got traded to the Nets, Ben Simmons said, man, yeah, I was scared about getting traded. I'm just happy I woke up and I'm still a Sixer. So they've been trying to trade him for James Harden, who is their guy, clearly is their guy, Morey's guy, for literally 2 whole seasons. Literally 2 seasons. They've been trying to do this. They finally get their guy, and it makes sense with their window, right? And B has already had his health concerns throughout his career. So you don't know how much, and he's creeping towards 30. Like, any moment with Embiid, back could go bad, knee could go bad, you don't know. So when you have Embiid playing at an MVP level, playing like the best player in the league, playing like the best player in the world right now, you have to surround him with what you think is a talent immediately that will help you get a championship. Like, every year, there's really only about 4 teams maximum every year that have a solid chance of actually winning a championship. I even thought that the Sixers had a chance of getting to the conference finals with the way Embiid was playing without a trade. Now you put James Harden there. Obviously, they're going to have some things to work through. They kept Tyrese Maxey. They kept Matisse Thybulle for defense. I was worried that they would give up too much. I don't like giving up Steph Curry, but you do what you have to do to bring in James Harden. Like, you bringing in James Harden. I also saw a stat that said, I think if they keep averaging 20 and 10, as in Embiid averaging 20 and 10 and Harden averaging 20 and 10, should be the first duo since Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas to both average 20 and 10. And that happened in the 60s. This is 2020. So, I mean, you talk about, again, bringing a guy like James Harden over. I know he's been having a not you can say he's having a down season, but he's still almost averaging a triple-double. So that you can say he's having a down season, but he's still almost averaging a full-length triple-double. So for them, man, I think it will take some time for them to get it a little bit together. Obviously, like, Embiid may have the ball a little bit less. Also, Harden's going to have to figure out what he's going to do when Embiid has the ball. Is he just going to stand there? Is he going to move around? Where do you place him? Tyrese Maxey, he's a guy who I don't want to say his role needs to decrease, because I still want him to be the same level of aggressive that he was being beforehand. But also, his role, you take some pressure off him. You know, like even the game a couple of nights ago when they played the Suns, when Embiid got the rebound, looking for somebody to outlet to it, and Steph Curry, he outlets it to Steph Curry. And Steph wasn't expecting the ball and goes. That wouldn't happen with James Harden. James Harden, you know Harden's going to come and get the ball, get it up court, and initiate some offense. And they really did need another ball handler. Like, there's been so many times this season in which I see Maxey trying to make a play at the end of the game, or Embiid having the ball at the end of the game in positions that he shouldn't have it. That was one thing that they really did miss from Ben Simmons. The fact that they didn't have that other ball handler, that main playmaker. Now you have another ball handler. You have a elite playmaker. Shout out Hello Fro, man. Shout out Shooting. Appreciate the donation, my brother. Thank you. Love, bro. Shout out you. Love, my dog. Well, hello, Froby. But yeah, so you have a guy who can go out there, handle the ball, distribute, and get the other guys involved. And his offense should come a little bit easier. And I can understand his frustration in, Brooklyn. You sign up to play with Kyrie Irving and James Harden. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Most of the time, you just playing with James Harden, Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, James Jones, DeAndre Brimby, who they cut. The Nets cut. He was starting. Who they cut. Like, he was starting most games. So I understand Harden's frustrations. You won't have that here in Philly. And B will be there mostly every night. All the guys that you have will be playing mostly every night. Also, Tobias Harris. I think some low will be taken off Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris, I think, was playing one spot too far up. Like, you had to depend on Tobias Harris, Harris scoring way too much in playoff situations. I like Tobias Harris. You should not be depending upon Tobias Harris to score 22, 23 points every night to win games. Now, I know his contract says that you should be able to depend on him for that, but that's just not who Tobias Harris is. He's a guy where I really want him more around 18, 8, 9 boards a night. If he can give me 23, 24, 25, that's a plus. But now we have a guy in James Harden who bona fide can get me 30, even 40 sometimes. Any given time he wants to give me 40, and we still have Embiid up there. And again, they're going for it this year and next year, as they should. Like I said, with Embiid, you never really know when the heel might come. He's looked great the past 2 years, but even last year he had the knee hyperextension. He probably would have been MVP last year if that didn't happen. This year, I think he's, in my personal opinion, probably the front runner to win MVP if I had to give the award out right now today. So yeah, man, like I love it from their aspect because you're going for it right now, and you were literally getting nothing from Vince. Like, he was not playing. He didn't want to. Now for the Nets, right? You did as well as you possibly could do. You got Ben Simmons. You have Kyrie Irving, and you have Kevin Durant. Two people who love to shoot the ball. Ben Simmons don't want to shoot. All he want to do, play defense and distribute. And you got Steph Curry and Patty Mills. And don't let Joe Harris get healthy. Like, do you understand? Like, even if Kyrie, let's say you in the playoffs, it's game 6, Kyrie ain't there. I can close games like this. I can close games with, if he's healthy, I can close games with Patty Mills, Steph Curry, Joe Harris, Ben Simmons, and Kevin Durant. My front line is Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant. Also, for Kevin Durant, it takes some pressure off him. It it takes some pressure off him defensively, because even you saw defensively, because you saw last year, right? He has to guard Giannis. Like if we play the best front court matchup, he has to guard him. Now he can go kind of back to that Golden State role when he was in Golden State, when he was a great help defender. Like Draymond would take the best front court player and Kevin Durant would help. Kevin Durant's still 7 feet tall. You know, if he's still a 7-footer on help defense. I thought that the first year he played in Golden State was probably his best year defensively, because he didn't have to take the job of guarding the best front court player, or even sometimes a perimeter player that you have. Now Ben Simmons can do that. Ben Simmons can take all his effort to defense and playmaking. Now, if he doesn't want to shoot, who cares? Who gives a fuck? Who cares? If a man gonna go out there and play all world defense, give me 10 boards, be one of, and you have a transition player. You had no transition players beforehand. Now you have a transition player. You have one of the best transition players in the league today. Incredible. And you have Drummond, you have size. You have one of the best rebounds in the game. So now if you play against a Joel Embiid, obviously I think, Joel Embiid will get the best of Andre Drummond, but at least he could offer some resistance. Drummond back there is different than Nick Claxton. Joel Embiid gets to the hole, see Nick Claxton, I am dunking. Joel Embiid gets to the hole, see Andre Drummond, he still might dunk, but there's a little bit more resistance to be had there. Also, he's one of the best rebounders in the game today, so that also helps you out as well. But for the Nets, I love it. For this year and for next year. Like even if you don't get it this year, right? Let's say by the grace of God, hopefully for everybody, the vaccine, not the but the New York mandates change and Kyrie doesn't have to get the vaccine and he can play the full season. That means you have Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, 3 all-world players there every single night. 2 of them, and those guys can focus on offense. And you got one guy who can focus on dishing them the ball, who don't necessarily need shots. And if you get a mismatch in the post, throw him the ball. Let him go one-on-one against a smaller guy. I love what the Nets did for now and the future. He's 25 years old too. He's only 25 years old. So I think your window even increases. Whereas opposed to with James Harden, you had guys who are all closer to 30. Right? I think Kevin Durant's 32, 33, been injury prone the past couple of years. Kyrie is creeping up on 30, literally is a part-time player. Like I would thought about, he's literally a part-time player. Not judging him off his views and what he want to do, but the fact he's literally playing part-time is actually preposterous. Not because of his views and what he want to do, but the fact he's literally a part-time NBA player is preposterous. But even Kyrie, I don't know how much longer Kyrie wants to play the game of basketball. Like I said many times, I think this is Kyrie's last contract. I think Kyrie Irving has aspirations that go much deeper than being a basketball player. Clearly already he does. And I think that Kyrie's after basketball life will be so much greater than whatever he does on a basketball court. And he's done incredible things on a basketball court. Meaning you have Ben Simmons on contract for 4 more years. He's not even going to command the money that James Harden would command when it's time to re-sign James Harden. 25 years old. I think hasn't even hit his prime yet. I think he's still figuring out what to do on a basketball court. So you've extended your window if you're the Brooklyn Nets. I love this trade for both teams. And I hope if they can meet at some point in time in the playoffs, this is one of the very few trades when I think both teams win. Actually, this trade deadline, I think a lot of teams made trades where both teams win. Even a team like when the Mavericks and the Wizards, Porzingis was traded for David Bartons and Spencer Dinwiddie. I like that trade for both teams as well. Mavericks side, you had KP spending all his money on KP, and he isn't there most of the time. Then KP has a bone bruise right now. Now, could that have something to do with the trade? I don't know. We see Kendrick Nunn has a bone bruise. Kendrick Nunn literally ain't played the whole season with a bone bruise. So, KP is already a guy. He's had the ACL. I think he had a meniscus injury as well when he got to Dallas. If I'm not mistaken, he had a meniscus injury. So he's definitely had knee problems already, and he's 7'3", and you're paying him XYZ amount of dollars. Getting David Bartons in, who, for the way that the Mavericks want to play basketball, with basically spreading the court and letting Luka create, David Bartons is actually probably a better option for them than Porzingis. Now, I do think you will miss Porzingis defensively. But the thing about that, I said about the Mavericks at first was, Luka's second year, I think it was, they had the league's best offensive rating of all time. I believe now, obviously you need, defense wins championships, offense, whatever. you need to do something historic to win. If you have the best offensive rating ever, lean in on that. That's historic. You had 118 offensive rating. Lean in on that. And I think this is the Mavericks leaning in and going back to offense. Like, yes, KP is probably better for your team defensively. But again, KP is not just a spot-up shooter. David Barnes is a spot-up shooter. He wants to out there and spot-up shoot. You got Luka penetrating, dishing. Now you got Maxi Kleber. You got Bartons. You got Dorian Finney-Smith. You got, and then at your guard spot, Jalen Brunson having an incredible season. He might command more money than what you're willing to give on the open market. Even still, let's think about it from this year. Jalen Brunson can now come off your bench, and you have Spencer Dinwiddie starting, right? So the thing with Luka is Luka's going to probably mostly dominate the ball. That's cool. But you still need other ball handlers on the team, bro. Like even, when James Harden and the Rockets had those deep playoff runs, what else did they have? A secondary ball handler. Like there is no human being where you're going to get away with just dribbling the ball 60 times for 45 minutes in the playoffs when you're playing against top tier level competition and defenses. At some point in time, you're going to wear down. At some point in time, you're going to need somebody else to be able to create offense for others because you have no human is that much in shape. I'm sorry. No human is that much in shape. Even LeBron could throw the ball to Kyrie and Kyrie could do something. Even LeBron could throw the ball to D-Wade and D-Wade could do something. Even LeBron could put the ball in the post. Even the very last year in Cleveland, they at least had George Hill and Jose Calderon. At least had somebody else. Like, you can't just expect this man to go out there and dribble the ball 60 times for 40 minutes and expect to literally win championships that way. You can win some series. You can win the first round, maybe get to the second round, but you ain't winning no championship like that. So I like the acquisition of Spencer Dinwiddie. He's a guy where you can throw him the ball and there's nothing there, and he can create something out of nothing. So can Jalen Brunson. So you have two guys who can actually do that. And looking towards the future, Spencer Dinwiddie might be a cheaper option than what Jalen Brunson may turn out to be this offseason because somebody will have some money to overpay Jalen Brunson to bring him to their team and be their starting point guard. So I like the trade from Dallas's aspect. I get the concept. I get the point. You now have a stretch four. And again, now you can put out there with Keebler, Bartons, Dorian Finney-Smith, Luka, Bronson, or Spencer. Or if you want to get really funky, maybe you do at some points in times Brunson, Spencer, Luka, Bartons, and you put out Keebler. Or maybe your starting lineup is Dwight Powell, Keebler, Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka. Or maybe you do, I don't know, maybe you do at some points in times Dwight Powell, Maxi Keebler, Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson. It just gives you more flexibility for, I think, the Mavericks to play the way that they want to play. Now for the Wizards. If KP can actually be there and be healthy, I like it for the Wizards as well. Bradley Beal messed up his wrist. I'm going to say he may opt in. If I'm the Wizards, I don't necessarily know if I want to re-up him long-term. Judging off what I've seen this season from Bradley Beal, I don't know if I want to re-up him long-term. And maybe some of the issue with Bradley Beal could have been Spencer Dinwiddie. Like the past 2 years, Bradley Beal has had free reign in that backcourt. Like he's been back there with, again, Russell Westbrook was still averaging 10 assists. Like, you can't tell me Russell Westbrook dives to the rim and dishes it out to you, don't help you average 30 points. Whereas opposed to Spencer Dinwiddie, he's more of a scoring guard. He's not the creator that Russell Westbrook is. Even John Wall, when he was there, he was a guy who was more of a creating guard than was a scoring guard. So maybe, the pairing of Spencer and Bradley kind of caused some troubles for Bradley. But regardless of what it is, he didn't have the type of year that he's been having the past 2 years. So you go in the open market, maybe he don't get the same money that he was looking for. Maybe he does, but maybe he doesn't get that money. So maybe he opts in, and next year you want to run out a lineup of Porzingis, Kuzma, whoever at the 3, pick somebody. Maybe you do Cody Kisper. Maybe you do KCP. I think KCP's contract runs out though. So whatever. Cody Kisper, Bradley Beal, pick somebody at the point guard position. So I like the trade for them. Again, if KP can come in there and bring you something, I think it gives you, 2 good co-stars, 1 all-star, 1 borderline all-star level player. So I like the deal for them in that aspect. I think having the front line of KP and Kuzma is solid. Creates driving lanes for Bradley Beal. Creates driving lanes for whoever. Also, I think KP will also get more of the touches that he's looking to get, the kind of touches that he's looking to get in Washington, as opposed to the touches that he wanted in Dallas that he wasn't getting, that he was basically relegated to being a spot-up shooter. Again, I think he'll get more of his opportunities. And also I think he'll bring something to his team defensively. I mean, Anthony Edwards even said, like, Porzingis is one of the toughest guys to score in the paint. I mean, he is 7'3". Like, he does this, you probably can't even see the rim. And is there are there any other trades looking to want to go? The three main ones look out to me personally. Tell me, put any others in the chat if you want me to discuss them while I'm still on. Got a couple more minutes here. I'm looking through my group chat to see if there are any more trades that I felt made a huge the Bucks picking up Serge Ibaka. They picked up Serge Ibaka and they lost Pat Connaughton. But there was a guy who played today who I hadn't seen play, who looked like he could shoot. And if he could shoot, then that could lessen the blow of losing Pat Connaughton. I'm trying to find his name. Click on. I don't pronounce his name. I want to show the man some respect. His name was. His name. Literally had never seen the man play until today. His name was Lindell Whittington. I mean, he was 1 for 2 from 3. Yeah, I mean, if he can come in and shoot, I mean, you also still have Wesley Matthews. You do also hopefully have George Hill coming back, but you bring in Serge. You know, I think bringing in Serge is probably the best you could do stylistically. After losing Brook Lopez, hopefully he can come back for the playoffs. But if he can't, at least you still have Serge Ibaka, who's a proven veteran, can also stretch the floor. He's not the shot blocker he once was, but he's not chopped cheese. He's not chopped cheese in the paint either. So I think that's a good deal for the Bucks. And to me, still, I think the Bucks are the favorites, and everybody else is kind of falling in line. But I do still think the Bucks are personally my favorites to come out of the East. But the road definitely just got harder. LeVert to the Cavs, another one I like. I like LeVert to the Cavs. LeVert gives the Cavs something. I don't think they had like a fucking player. Right? Like something you can just throw the ball to, be like, all right, fuck it, make something happen. Like that was one thing that you did have with Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton, you could just throw the ball to him, be like, all right, bro, figure this out. I like Garland. I don't think Garland has a fucking element to him, though, yet. I think Garland has a very, pure point guard element to him. But I don't think he's a guy that you just, everything is going to hell. I'm going to throw you the ball, and you just a wild card. Like, LeVert is a guy who he might score 15. He might score 40. You saw him do it when he played with the Pacers on the Lakers. Now, it wasn't Lakers. Everybody scored 40 on the Lakers. But, he might go out there and do that. And I think that's huge for them because he really can't be schemed for. Because he's a wild card. Like, you know what he do. He's one of those guys who, like a Jamal Crawford, like a Jordan Clarkson, like a Colin Sexton. I said one thing I think they missed with Colin is like a guy, like I said, a guy who just go out there and just fuck it. Everything's breaking down. 7 seconds left on the clock. I'm gonna throw you the ball, bro. You figure this out. Create some type of bucket. The Lakers, I do want to speak on the Lakers. I think for the Lakers, no deal might turn out to be the best deal because now they can just focus on playing basketball. You have who you have. Ain't no help coming. You can think about, but ain't nobody gonna get in the buyout more. Ain't no Tristan Thompson. Ain't no Dennis Schroeder. Ain't no Gordon Dragic. Ain't none of them guys gonna improve your team exponentially that much. Right. So now for the Lakers, you can kind of just focus on basketball. The guys in the locker room can focus on how to just make this thing work. Look, it's not over with. Still got 30 games left. I know it looks bleak. Do I think they're a championship team? No. But I do think that they have the pieces and the players and the potential firepower to at least make a run at it. So, like I said, I don't know how many more of these I'll do while I'm in Chicago. I'm dealing with, family stuff, heavy stuff. But I did want to come on and give my trade deadline thoughts. I could no longer sit on the side and watch. I had to come and give my trade deadline thoughts. So, yeah, man, Paris Daily Takes. Also, make sure y'all go stream Soft Lips. It's been getting 1,000 streams every day on Spotify. Shout out Shaw a year after it came out. So, shout out to all y'all for that. And yeah, man, until next time, Paradise Takes. Shout out y'all.